Here come the boys. Y'all ready to go swimming, baby? Come on. Give it up. Get out of that water. I tried telling y'all, it's swim lessons, baby.
Welcome back to Chippewa Downs, located here in Belcourt, North Dakota. My name is Dallas Hanson. Thank you for joining us today. My guest today is one of the leading riders in the state of North Dakota, a fantastic human being, and that is Nathan Harr. Nathan Harr's story is very interesting. He started becoming a jockey when he was 17, has found his way through all these different circuits, and now he's one of the best. And it was so fun to get to know what goes through his mind while the race is going, what goes through his mind before the race happens, and what goes through his mind after, and just the way he learned the game of horse racing and how to be a successful jockey. I think you're really going to enjoy this one. I did. But before we get to Nathan, we got to talk about PSP Network. It's game day, promoting local athletes since day one and forever. Nick Holberg and his team do a fantastic job. Nick's actually right now in the heart of dirt track racing season, so make sure you check out Nick Holberg's page as well as PSP on YouTube. That's PSP Network, or check out their website, psp.network. So appreciate Nick Holberg and all of them. And hey, here's somebody that I'm looking forward to working with this fall and winter. That is Game Day Media. More than a game, your leader in live video sports coverage in Northwest North Dakota. At Game Day Media, our goal is to expose, support, and promote the best athletes that North Dakota has to offer. Subscribe to our channel at Game Day Media ND on YouTube, or find us on Facebook at Game Day Media for schedules, quick links to games and stats, etc. Enable alerts and make sure you watch for upcoming events we host. Man, I love that Game Day Media. Oh, I can't forget this one. This is one of my favorite places to eat in Northwest North Dakota, and that is River's Edge Bar and Grill. They're known for offering the best happy hour in town, providing unbeatable deals in a lively atmosphere. Guests can also enjoy a variety of entertaining activities, including bingo, trivia, and the very popular Name That Tune. Come down River's Edge for great drinks, great food, and great fun. Hey, are you somebody who likes a good hamburger on a summer night? Well, I've got a spot. It's Glosso Angus. Glosso Angus is a proud sponsor of Swim Lessons, the podcast. They're your premier source for registered Black Angus cattle since 1973. Glosso Angus cattle showcase dominance, durability, and docility, and are built to thrive on the northern plains. Check them out at Glosso Angus, that's GLASOE Angus.com. Since 1972, BSN Sports has helped area sports teams look their best as they strive for their goals and dreams. They provide apparel, uniforms, and equipment for teams in nearly every sport. Local service with a national reach, that is BSN Sports. Contact your local BSN Sports representative for more information. BSN Sports, they are a proud sponsor of Swim Lessons, the podcast. Appreciate all those sponsors. They make all this possible. And hey, big news. Go to Dallas Hanson, DALYSS, Hanson, HNSWN.com to check out our Swim Lessons merch, a few different things, but BSN hooked us up with some really cool sweatshirts and some really cool t-shirts, and I handpicked them myself. So if you hate them, don't let me know. If you love them, please tell me. But that's it for now. I'm really excited. This is one of my favorite podcasts. I shouldn't say that, but I really enjoyed this one because it's close to me. But here is Nathan Harr, the all-time jockey. Man, it is finally good to officially meet you, but like we were talking about earlier, we met each other in passing a few times.
Yeah.
That last race of today here at Chippewa Downs, it was 4 furlongs, and they had the gates right in front of the grandstand here at Chippewa. And I went down there, and I'm like, I want to watch and see what it's like and what it's gotta, and try to put myself in a jockey's shoes, because I took a slow motion video of it, and when they popped the gates, the horses just lunged forward, and I could not help, and that's why I wanted to talk to you. What's the feeling like when a horse takes off, a thoroughbred horse takes off out of the gates? I mean, it's got to be a huge emotional rush.
Yeah, I mean, well, thoroughbreds are what I actually started on, so for me, I'm used to it, but at the same point, it is a rush, and especially in a race like that, a half mile, you got about 3 jumps to the turn.
Yeah.
So you got to be thinking smart and aggressive at the same time. So like today when Dave broke as well as he did, I said, okay, gotta go. Which he's an old timer. I think that makes 9 or 10 on him for me today myself. Really? I think 19 total in his career.
Oh wow.
So, but he knows these little tracks. I mean, that's what he's run on his entire life, and he's a type of horse. I always say he's a rat in a barrel. I'd send him through a hole as big as his head, because if his head fits, he'll put himself in there if he feels that he has the momentum to get there. But like a race like that, the biggest part is with, Sam starting the race, the one hole's such an advantage if you do have a horse that can break, because for one, you already have the rail if he breaks sharp, and another reason being, me as a rider, I can be watching Sam and see him so much easier on the button, and I can see when his thumb starts going down.
I never thought of that.
To time it. Too. Yeah. So that's another head start on it.
What if he like freaked you out and was like, oh, nope, never mind.
Well, there's been times where I thought they moved before and I almost caused accidents on it, but that'll happen in racing. But you got to use every little advantage you can. I mean, that's just part of racing. You use what you can, use your knowledge to get the most out of a horse.
Yeah. How long have you been riding horse for?
I started actually galloping horses when I was 17 years old.
Because I remember, I'm pretty sure when you were in high school, wouldn't you like leave school specifically on the weekends and maybe on Friday to go ride?
Well, that's the funny thing. So I actually started riding, would have been right before my junior year ended.
That's right.
And then the school I went to, fortunately enough, for my senior year, because I just started at the bushes back home in South Dakota. And then when I actually started riding and told my dad, hey, I want to do this. And my dad goes, well, I think you can. You've improved a lot. So, yeah. And I was fortunate enough, the school I went to, Frederick, South Dakota, is about 30 miles north of Aberdeen.
Oh.
We did 4-day school weeks, Monday through Thursday.
Really?
We just went about an hour and a half longer.
Okay.
And it made up the difference on everything else. So I was able to, I had a job actually in town. I'd work out Monday through Wednesday, and then Thursday, as soon as school was over, I'd hightail it to Grand Island.
That's awesome.
Ride horses there my senior year.
So you were 17 or 18?
I would have been 18. I actually, I would have been 18 at the time.
Riding at Grand Island.
Yeah.
What was that first race like?
I'd actually rode in Columbus, Nebraska, so I knew a lot of the guys there, but the Fauner atmosphere, that town just loves racing. There's always a huge crowd. You see a little bit better quality of horses than you do at Columbus, but I mean, Columbus is no slouch either. I mean, just like here, you can run into some really good horses.
Yeah.
But just riding with some of the riders that you see there for that time of year, I was able to learn a lot and pick up on a lot of the advice that they were trying to give me, because middle of February, there ain't a lot of places running.
Yeah.
And who'd ever think, North, South Dakota, Nebraska, they'd be running. I mean, it's pretty cold there, but I was able to pick up a lot of information from older veteran riders that were willing to help me. And
that's a big part of the game.
Yeah.
Even training, like to learn from some of these old timers or old heads, like it's a big part.
Oh yeah, 100%. Even certain trainers that haven't rode races before, they'll pull something up and show me, this is what this old Nebraska Hall of Fame rider did, and if you could quit doing that, it's kind of cool. You just get to pick people's brain on things.
Yeah.
Some of them come in getting chewed out, and some of them come in, hey, I want to help you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't help but look at a guy like Dwayne Lucas, who just won the Preakness, and it was like his first time, and he just hasn't given up. And what is he, like 87, something like that?
He's been around.
He's been around a time or two, but like I guarantee all his assistant trainers and even trainers around, they still listen to him, and he's an older guy.
Yeah.
That was awesome. See, so first race goes okay, and then obviously, and what's another unique thing about your family is your dad's a racetrack announcer.
Yep.
Your brother is a horse trainer, and your other sister is a horse trainer as well.
Yeah, her and her fiance.
What are Thanksgivings like, dude? I mean, I guarantee you're not talking about horse racing, or what are you talking about?
For the most part, they're pretty good. There's a lot of times where it's, hey, all right, I'm tired of hearing about it now. Yeah, that happened, but we're not talking about that. We're not talking about racing now. But for the most part, it's all good memories. There's times where, just like any siblings, get into arguments. But
who do you pick to ride for, or do you just pick the best horse? So say like your sister has a horse race, and your brother. Is there? How do you make that choice?
Well, it's not really. I don't know how to explain it, I guess, because I'm predominantly thoroughbred rider. I mean, when I come here, it's a mixed meet, so I ride both.
Right.
And my brother only has thoroughbreds. My sister and Francisco have kind of transferred over into a little bit of both, but for the longest time, they were predominantly quarter horses.
Yep.
And I actually was scared to death of quarter horses when I started riding. I said,
just because they're too antsy?
I don't like them, and I've watched so many, and they're a lot younger. That's when they run. It's like schooling races, half of them.
Yeah.
And I've watched so many, with my dad being an announcer, over the years, so many accidents. I remember telling my dad when he goes, you want to ride quarter horses? Because at one point in time, my dad was also my agent too, kind of.
No shit.
Yeah, making sure I was.
Where was this at?
He actually did here my very first year. He did here in Belcourt when I rode here, and then he did my agenting in Fargo as well for my first 2 or 3 years.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was so much to make a little percent, but to make sure his little boy was okay too. He didn't want to get me hurt, but he asked me. He said, "You can ride these." After about, a month of riding, he said, you can ride these quarter horses too. And I said, I don't know if I want to. And he said, why? And I said, to be honest, after all these years of watching you announce races and always being at them, seems like every time a guy gets hurt, it's on a quarter horse.
Yeah, exactly.
But he said, if we just pick the right ones, we'll be all right,
Well, for people listening, quarter horses are more of like just a straight sprint, like 500 yards, where thoroughbreds can go like 5 furlongs, like we were talking about earlier. Some of these folks that listen to the show probably might not know that. But like you mentioned it earlier, but what's the biggest difference that you see between a quarter horse and a thoroughbred horse?
The biggest thing for me, I guess, starting out especially, was just the raw power leaving the gates. I mean, thoroughbreds, plenty of power there, obviously. They're 1,100, 1,200 pound animals, but the amount of force a quarter horse can leave with. I think the first 3 or 4 I rode, I broke in their mouths and took them almost entirely out of the race. And I
broke in their mouths, like you yanked the reins back?
Well, just with the force of it, it's like, whoa, I lost my hold on them and kind of broke on their mouth. And that's a good thing with Francisco, because he was, dating my sister at the time when I had started riding. And I asked him, what do I got to do? And he said, they're way different in that aspect as a thoroughbred, because a thoroughbred, you can be a little tighter on your reins leaving there. I mean, you want to have control of a quarter horse as well in case one breaks in or out. But he told me you give them about 4 more inches of slack in them in your reins on each side, and it'll give them more of a leeway to leave there with you. That's the way he described it to me. And so I started doing that, and that was a difference maker for me.
Yeah, and Francisco's brother Gio, he's doing pretty well for himself. I saw him riding quarter horses in Canterbury, I think last summer, and Prairie Meadows in some spots. Yeah, he's doing well too.
He's a hell of a rider, and he learned a lot from his brother. But when he'd come up here, I always laugh when Kiko, Francisco.
Oh yeah,
that's
Kiko.
Kiko's nickname.
Kiko. Yeah, he's
but
a man.
That's what we call him, and he always would tell me, "Hey, you watch after my little brother in there." And I said, "Hey, that kid, he's grown. He got himself handled, and that kid he's a heck of a rider." Really good quarter horse rider, and if he had a little more opportunities on thoroughbreds, I think he could prove himself on them too.
Oh, hell yeah. No, I agree 100%. The best summer my parents had here, that was their rider, and he won on a bunch of their thoroughbreds. I want to go back, and I want to talk more about the strategy of being a jockey, because that's like one of my favorite things. I always tell my dad, like, because we race thoroughbred horses, I've been just like you, grown up around the sport, had done track announcing, but I feel like, and tell me if this is wrong, okay, say the horse and the jockey are a football team. The horse is like some of your better players, your offensive line, wide receivers, but the jockey is the quarterback. The horse goes as the quarterback goes. You know what I mean? Like, so you're like calling the shots.
They're the pilot.
You're the pilot.
Yeah.
You're the guy in charge. And so I think like a bad jockey and sometimes can come into play as well. But what is some of your strategies? Like, do you study the program? Do you watch film? You know, what you do, what Nathan Harr does when he's getting ready for a race?
Personally, myself, I do like to look at the book a little bit.
Yeah.
But most of the places I ride at, just in what you're saying, like certain
what's going on.
Football teams, the football team, the quarterbacks makes the audibles. So I know there's also certain riders that make certain audibles all the time, and you got to remember that too.
Yeah.
So I look at, in my sense of looking at the form, I can see what the horse normally does, but I also look at the pilot, because if it's a pilot change, stuff like that, I look at that and I take all that into my perspective and I play the race out in my mind, and it works sometimes. Most of the time it don't work, but you have your plan B, plan C,
Yeah, hell yeah.
But for the most part, you can get it somewhat close, and like, especially riding here, I'm riding mostly my brother's horses and picking up a few other ones, but like my brother's horses, I ride them all year long. So
it pisses me and my parents off because you're one of the better riders here. So like, damn, we can't get Nathan. Like, who's the next? You know what I mean? And usually it's Dakota, who's a good rider as well.
Dakota's a very good rider.
Man, that race he had today, the 5th race. I'll get your brother's horse. What was he ran? He won the first out of the year.
Parlay Pete.
Pete. I was like, I told Krista, my girlfriend, like, I don't know if they can catch this Parlay Pete because he beat our horse Rockin' at the party.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, this Parlay Pete's got a lot of speed. Well, then during the race, you were sitting perfect. Then all of a sudden, here comes Dakota and that 5 horse, the Schindler horse, and they just. Like, no offense, they passed you like you were tied up. I'm like, dude, this horse is coming out of nowhere.
It's funny that you say that, because me and my brother were talking about it after the race. I said, because we actually run against that horse about a month ago in Miles City too, with Parlay Pete. We just
how did that go?
We run second to him, had the lead the whole way, but
really?
He, as rider pleased that day too. As soon as Cody Kellenberger actually rode him that day, but as soon as he let a notch out, he come by us like we were standing still.
No kidding.
I mean, that's a very nice horse. Jeff's done a great job with him, and that Moon Connection's a nice horse too. He just, in that race, I thought them are the 2 horses to beat. We had intentions, when I say we, because my girlfriend also owns part of Parlay Pete with my brother. That. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And so when we had claimed him, we had intentions of him coming up here being that type of Kaylee's brother horse.
Yeah.
And then, so be it. We found a couple bears up here, but that's how it goes. I mean,
racing, man.
We've had the bears before, and people are chasing us, and sometimes you just got to chase the bear too.
How good of a feeling though is it when you win a race, like the last race of today, you won, and your brother was the trainer, and he's smiling at you when you're riding the horse back, like, dude, nice job, and you're like, hey man, this is a great horse. How good of a feeling is it to not only win a race, but when you win the race, it's for your brother, the trainer?
Oh, it's very special to me.
Yeah.
Anytime for your family. Same way with Francisco and Amanda, as a team. I guess for the most part, I've gotten kind of used to it now, but I remember when I actually first started, my dad also trained a little bit too.
Okay, I didn't know that.
He's held a lot of hats in the game, but my first race I actually won was for my dad.
Wow.
And I was handling it very well until I came back, to do the winner circle, and then a lot of people don't know my dad, but he's a big dude. He goes about 6 foot, he's a pretty big dude. And I haven't seen him cry very many times in my entire life. And that was one of them moments. And then I break down crying. And then there's times where special ones for my brother. A couple years ago, Bonnie and I happened to be up here and rode her in the North Dakota Bred Derby filly against boys, and there were some other fillies in there too, but he told me, this horse can really run. I need you to get on her and work with her. And so we spent a lot of time and a lot of hard work on that horse, and luckily enough we win that race. But to see him that day, and my brother's same as my dad, very hard-headed, don't ever show emotions very much, and that day he kind of had a little tear going down his eye too. And
no kidding.
So there's times where it's just like winning for anybody else. I mean, winning's always fun. It's never not. But there's times where it gets emotional too in them situations. And it's just like, this is a memory you'll never forget, you know?
It's like all this hard work goes into 2 minutes, and then you take the picture and it's like, it's over.
Yeah.
But the memories that you have of those 2 minutes last a lifetime.
Oh, forever.
Do you have like a favorite race that comes to your mind that you can think of off the top of your head?
Right now it's Dave's last one, but over the last 12 years, a favorite race. I would probably have to say, I believe the year was 2015 or 2016. Okay. I'd been riding for about 4 or 5 years. I was riding this horse for a good friend of mine in Colorado. Stetson Rushton is his name. But the horse's name was Co-Ferment. But the way this horse would run, he is a route horse, a mile or further. He would break and he would take himself so far back a lot of the times. And I was like, come on.
How far back?
20 some days.
No way.
Yeah. There was
so you're eating dirt.
Yeah, there's days where it's like that with him, and then there's days where it was like, we're 5 off the pace here, we're gonna win easy.
What?
But he was the type of horse where you couldn't ask him to do anything at all until he started telling you it's time to go. But when he started telling you that, you'd let him creep. Well, there happened to be a race, used to be called the Arapahoe Park Classic, which I don't remember for sure at the time if it was still called that. It's transformed into the Butch Gleason Classic, a longtime trainer out there. But it's like one of the biggest races they run out there besides the Gold Rush Futurity. That's a very big one for thoroughbreds. Mm-hmm. But I remember this horse, I think he went off 3rd or 4th choice that day. There's a couple nice horses in there. And it's races 1 1/8 miles.
Long one.
Yeah. We break, and I think at one point, I was about 15 lengths off the pace, maybe 12, something like that. We were ways back.
Yeah.
And I just had to keep telling myself, Nate, be patient. Let it come to you. Let it come to him like he always does. And when it did come to him, and I pecked at him one time, he made up about 8 lengths in what felt like 4 strides. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to win this.
When you say peck though, do you like have the whip and you just kind of tap him on the shoulder?
Yeah, just tap him on the shoulder, give him a little,
like, hey man,
kiss to see if he got any horse, smooch to him a little. And I said, ooh, I got a lot of horse here now.
Let's go.
And then I was going to try to save ground, but I remember thinking at that time, because there was, when you're riding them off the pace horse, you got to navigate traffic too.
Yep.
And this horse was a really big horse. Big horses, you don't ever want to get stopped because it takes them a lot of time to get their momentum going again. And I said, I'm going to just tip out and get out of the way of everyone else because I don't want to mess this up. And long story short, this horse I took the lead at the quarter pole, which I was a little worried about. I said, this might be too early. He's not used to being there that early. A lot of horses will put their ears up and kind of go to stop running, pack animals. They're used to. But he drew off. I think he won the race by like 10 or something.
No way.
Yeah, he was he was a really cool horse, a very memorable horse for me.
Dude, there's something, and when you were telling that story, that was awesome. Thanks for sharing it. But there's also in the jockey game called a clock. And every good jockey has a good clock, like in his mind, where he can kind of feel how the race is going, how his horse is feeling, like the clock of what should I do now? Mm-hmm. Do you think that's developed for you over time, or is it like something that just came natural?
For me, I think it took me a few years to figure it out, but everyone else that's around me and close to me, my brother, my father, they've always told me you've had that natural ability to be patient, to be a patient rider, which is why my brother says on a bull ring, sometimes I don't like you at all. On a mile track, I gotta have you.
Yeah. He thinks you jumped the gun too early on bull rings?
No, he thinks I'm too patient on bull rings because you know how bull rings are. You got to go early, otherwise you're in trouble.
Yep.
But I mean, I've rode bull rings a lot, and here lately I'd say in the last 5 years, I've kind of figured that out. Like, stop thinking too much about it on a bull ring. If you make a mistake and move too early, then you just do it. But it's better than
being too late.
Being way too late and then galloping out. 10 in front. That don't pay either.
No,
so.
yeah, exactly. One of my favorite movies, and a lot of people watch, is the movie Seabiscuit. And there's a part of that movie where Gary Stevens and Tobey Maguire pull up on the backside, and Gary Stevens, and they're like talking back and forth. And then Gary says, "Hey, there's my hole, gotta go." And then he takes off, and it's like one of those really, really unique scenes. Have you ever, like, is that kind of how it is sometimes? Like, you'll chit chat when you're going a mile, or what's the storyline like when jockeys are out there? Or do you like just like, "Hey, I'm on the inside, don't come in," or you know what I mean?
There's a little talking. But for the most part, I like to be quiet because I like my horse as relaxed as possible in their maximum cruising speed. And a lot of times you hear that screaming, horses think you're yelling at them or something like that. So I like to try to be quiet, but there is times where if I know my horse very well and know it's going to respond to me anyways and it ain't bugging it. Another good buddy of mine used to ride, Mike Luark. I don't think he's ever ridden up in this area, but mainly Nebraska, and Colorado. But he's a guy that I'll have conversations with him sometimes.
Really?
Just joking around, like something like, "Oh, do you and Savannah want to go out to eat tonight?"
Yeah.
"No, we ain't going with you." And
that's awesome.
little things like that. But for the most part, when you are riding, your mind's on the game.
Yeah. Because I heard a few things, like obviously like whistling to get them going in the quarter horse races and like stuff like that. But I've also heard, like, my parents go up to Assiniboia Downs a lot. And when you leave the barn area in Winnipeg, you can walk on the kind of the final turn. And it's really cool because one time I was waiting, we were in the 5th race, and I watched like races 1 through 3 on that final turn. And I heard Antonio Whitehall, who's a good jockey up there. He just was kind of getting his horse, and he just kept going, "Oh mama, oh mama," and he's like, "Go, go," you know what I mean, like kind of like calming her down. And then he's like, "Push, push, push," and that was just unique to see. So like, it's just, there's so many pieces to this game.
Yeah, and every rider's a little different in that, but that's something that I do a lot especially the post parade leading up to the actual start of the race. I will talk to a horse then, especially if I know the horse, because sometimes they hear that familiar voice, it'll calm them down.
Yeah,
like today, Dave, he was right behind that 6 horse that ended up scratching. Oh my God,
dude.
He started getting all worked up the first time that Ricardo would come off of him, and I'm like, "Oh, we got to get you away from that, buddy." So I turned him around and I tried to take him away from it. Luckily enough, I got him calmed down, and a pony horse come over, kind of helped me with that. Then pony horses, a lot of people don't realize, but they're unsung heroes to keeping a horse calm and keeping everyone else safe, especially.
Yeah. Dave, what an all-time name for a horse. What's the backstory on that?
So the guy who actually bred that horse, Marvin Johnson, he's a Hall of Fame trainer in the state of Nebraska. He's win 2,000 plus races.
Wow.
But he bred that horse, and that was one thing that I always noticed as a kid. And I actually ride some horses for Marvy too. So I finally asked him this year, I said, where did you ever come up with naming these horses like that? Because he had a Ron, a Gene, a Dave.
Like human names.
Yeah. And he goes, "Well, it's a lot easier to remember than anything else." So
I like that. That's awesome. Yeah, Dave, you ran good today. But like that 6 horse in that last race was so hard so terrible in the paddock. And I looked at my mom and my girlfriend, and I'm like, I wonder if the jockeys sit in the jocks room and they look out that window and they see like their horse acting on the parade, like, shit, here we go again. Does that ever happen?
There's times where you're on one that's gonna be like that, but for the most part, if one's historically like that and it can't run, you'll find yourself just purposely not riding it anyways.
Another part of the game that I find interesting, because I was a runner back in the day for the jocks room. So if they like needed, a pop or something. So when I was little, I would do that. Take us into Nathan Harr's mind when he's in the jocks room. Like, what's going on? What's happening? Are guys talking racing? Are people quiet? What's it like in there?
It depends what jocks room I'm in, I guess, because like here, I'm not a every year rider here.
Right.
I've been here off and on. So here I'm a little bit more subtle, a little more quiet. If I feel like I got fouled or something, I'll come back and let somebody know.
No shit.
And that's usually you see a real bad side of me for about 2 minutes. I'm not a fighter. I'm a yeller. I don't like throwing hands. But I always try, in my own opinion, I try to ride as safe as possible, but also ride to win. But when I feel like I'm purposely fouled, then my emotions will get the better of me, and I got to in my mind, let the other guy know. But for the most part, everyone's here pretty safe. Now, as far as Nebraska, been there for 13 years now, 12 years now, something like that. So I've developed a pretty good relationship with a lot of those guys. So there's a lot more joking around and whatnot there. And I guess I like to try to be a prankster depending on my mood. Most of the time it's pretty good here, especially here lately. I've had a good last 2-3 years there. But for the most part, I always try to keep everything cool, calm, and collected and joke around a little bit and just keep tempers at ease.
Keep it light.
Yeah.
Keep it light. Where are you going after this? You going to go to Fargo? You going home? What's happening after this for Nathan Harr?
I'm going to go to Fargo. And then after Fargo's done, we will go to Columbus. They actually just opened they had, their former track there, but they just rebuilt a new one.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to go there, and then hopefully by then, or by the end of that meet, hopefully Colorado has their issues worked out. They had some issues that they had to work out with, some with the city, with the electrical or something like that. But I know the GM there is working hard. He's very pro horse racing and doing everything he can to get that going. So hopefully by then we can have our meet going there, which is actually where I normally am now.
What month is that in then?
That would be about middle to end of September when they would get that going. Usually they start about the same time Chippewa starts and then run until about September 15th.
Oh, so a long meet.
Yeah, they run 3.5 months, something like that, yeah.
Man, you're going to Columbus, Ohio, right?
Columbus, Nebraska.
Oh, Columbus, Nebraska. I was like, dude, if you're in Ohio, you're going to see some great football. You know what I mean? Like,
it's funny you say that. My favorite college team is Cincinnati, the Bearcats.
Really?
For football.
Oh, I love that. That's where Travis Kelce went to college, so I'm a big guy. And before we started, you're like, oh, you're a Chiefs fan. And I'm like, well, I get that a lot because like everybody's now a Chiefs fan. It seems like
bandwagon jumpers. But you told me you were true to the game.
I'm true to the game.
One.
Yeah, Priest Holmes, Trent Green. Like I remember going. You know what Shields is? Like the sports store here in North Dakota. Like I would go to Shields and there wouldn't be a Chiefs blanket.
Now it's about all you can find.
Oh, dude, it's all Mahomes, Chiefs, like everything. And I'm like, man, times are changing. But one last question that I really wanted to ask you, Nathan, is like, where do you see yourself going with the horse racing game? Do you want to ride this out, no pun intended, and then kind of get into training, or where do you see Nathan Harr in the next few years?
Well,
because you're a very talented rider, and I think you can go a long ways. But what do you want to do?
The biggest deal for me, I mean, I'll make it a little longer story because my girlfriend, she kind of just shakes her head at me sometimes about it.
Oh, I'm used to that. I know you.
When we first met, I was kind of in a slump. We've been together a little over 4 years now.
Oh, wow.
And when we first met, I was in a slump, and I told her, I remember telling her after about 6 months of dating, I just don't like this no more. I hate it.
Riding.
I said, I don't want to do it no more. I'm tired of it. I can't win no races. I was just in one of them real bad funks. And it wasn't just, a month funk. It was like a 7-8 month funk. And she said, well, you do whatever makes you happy because that's what you have to do. I'll support you either way. Well, I took a few months off. I ended up quitting the circuit I was at early because I had to get my mind right, I thought. Because I was coming off an injury too where I broke my pelvis, and I think I tried to rush back a little too fast, and it had me
How'd
sour.
you break your pelvis?
I went down in a spill in Arapahoe Park, which is the track out in Denver, Colorado. Well, it's in the suburb of Aurora, but yeah, I broke my pelvis and collarbone at the same time, so I was in a wheelchair for like 4 months.
Dude, what happened if you don't mind me asking?
We broke out of the gates, and I was in the 2-hole. The horse in the 1-hole just drifted out over my heels ever so slightly, and we clipped heels, and we went in about a 15 to 20 yard roll, me and the horse. Luckily, he never actually made contact with me, but just the force of impact from hitting the ground. And
did you black out?
No, you
were awake?
Yeah, I was awake the whole time.
Dude.
I remember even arguing with the ambulance driver. She goes, "Well, can you walk over here?" And I said, "My hip." She goes,
"What kind of ambulance is this?"
She goes, "Could you walk over here?" I said, "Okay, I've broke things before, and I'm telling you right now, my hip is broken." And she goes, "Well, I think you'll probably be all right to just walk over here." I said, "Maybe you didn't hear me. My hip is broken." And she goes, "Oh, okay, then you know." So then, anyways, long story short there, that's what happened. And I got sour over that, I think, because I tried to rush myself back too soon. Mm-hmm. And so I took a few extra months off than my normal winter 3 to 4 month break. Came back with a new mindset that I said, if I'm going to ride, I need to get up in the mornings, work my tail off, try to, do the best I can do. And then if I don't enjoy it again, then I need to reassess my situation. Mm-hmm. Ever since then, I enjoy it a lot. It just, I had to reset my mind on it. And sometimes a break will do that for you also. Now, another thing that I've always told her, once I hit 1,000 wins, I want to stop.
Why? Well, keep going, get to 2.
The biggest thing for me is I'm a taller rider.
Yeah.
And the weights.
What do you feel like, what are you, right now, what are you walking around at?
Right now, so I'm tacking 126. So
126 is what you're at?
Yeah, just me, my normal body, no clothes, nothing, 121. But one thing here they don't have is a sauna. That's something I use religiously when I'm in Nebraska. I can pull 4 pounds, 3 pounds a day, on a normal day, up to 6 if I have to. I don't like doing that because I get weak, but that's just something I've become so accustomed to. And without it here, because I love to eat.
Yeah.
I have to eat.
Me too.
I can't help myself.
Yeah.
But,
so what do you do here to lose weight? Like put on a sweatshirt, go for a run, or?
No, I used to run. Now I just try to eat in smaller portions, be a little bit more careful about what I'm eating.
Yeah.
But
what like if you weren't riding, what would be like your walk around weight to still be in decent shape? Like 135, 140?
In the winter, I get up to about 135, 136.
Okay.
Yeah, when I'm not worried about it. And
yeah.
I think I'd probably get heavier than that because once I hit that point, I kind of say, okay, you got to cool it because you're getting every year you're getting a little older and it's getting a little tougher to take off.
Yeah, exactly. So would go back to your original story though. So are you going to try to get into training then, or what are you feeling?
I would like to, even though my brother tells me don't do it. You won't enjoy it near as much as riding.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's something about it. Because I do work with my girlfriend's horses a lot and I help my brother a lot, I like being on the ground with them too, but I would at some point in my life like to make that transition. Mm-hmm. Now, like I said, 4 years ago, probably would have been at maybe not ever hitting 1,000 to maybe just 1,000, but it's funny that you asked me this because me and my girlfriend were just talking about it the other day and she said, you're getting pretty close to 1,000, 2 or 3 more years, then you might be done. I said, not if it's going how it is right now. Then I'm going for 2 or 25.
Hell yeah, dude! I want to see you keep going because I mean we're kind of close in age, and it's just been fun to watch you become great. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I remember when you were first coming and you were doing okay, but you were nothing like now. You know what I mean? Like, now
I still won't call myself great.
Well, you know what I mean though. Like, you're in second place right now in the jockey standings. Like, dude, that's a big deal. Well, you know what I mean?
It helps when you get to ride good horses.
Yeah,
too.
That's true.
Horse helps a lot.
Yeah, that's very true. But like, do you remember Laren DeLorme?
Yes, Laren's a very good rider.
Yes,
it still is.
Still is. And I was telling my parents the other day, I'm like, can you imagine if Laren was here, how good the jockey colony would be? You know what I mean? Because you got a pretty good sized jockey colony here now all of a sudden and some very talented guys.
And this is another funny thing, because last weekend on our drive home, me and my brother, we drive separate because I had to haul a load of horses up for him. He had so many in. He called me and we were just BSing, And I said, is it just me or is this not the best pound for pound from top to bottom, the best jock colony you've ever seen here for competitive edge. And he goes, well, no, you knock on the other ones, but he goes, there are good riders here right now. And it really is. It is the best I've ever seen it here, which is, it's good because it's better for it to be more competitive as far as the bonus system and all that we are awarded on that. It makes everybody have to work a little harder, which makes even better racing.
I know. Well, like last year, I got to call the horse races on a Saturday when the regular announcer was gone doing the Indian relays. It was my first time, and I was really excited, and I had practiced. Dude, guess who won 7 races? Laren won all 7. Yeah. So at the end of it, I'm like, he's won 7 straight races. Laren DeLorme, everybody. Yeah. Like, dude, and he's like shouted me out. I'm like, I've never seen a jockey win every race on the cart, but it was amazing, and he's a fantastic jockey.
Yeah, I remember watching Laren even before I started riding. Just his ability to be on a horse that is so tired already and be able to pick them up and get that little extra out of them.
It's phenomenal.
I said, man, I wish I could ride like that someday.
Yeah, he's the man. How far of a trip is it? So you guys ship in, ship out?
Yep.
That's what we do too. So how far is it for home for you guys?
It depends. If I'm following my brother, 6 hours. If I'm doing it and I'm in front of him, 4.5.
Okay.
He drives like an old lady.
Do you have a track at the farm at home then, or do you just have like a walker?
We just have a jogger there that we got. Well, it's a walking machine, but it has different gears.
That's how ours is.
Yeah, and it's really handy. It helps keep the weight off the horses too. Yeah. You know, once you are totally fit, it's just maintaining the fitness at that point, as you know. Yeah. And the horses seem to enjoy it. Yeah. I mean, we do have a field that we could go out and gallop them in if we needed to. But for the most part, we just
throw them on, clean the stall.
Yeah. And just let them jog, you know, do their mile. And
isn't it funny how when they get, like when you bring them off the trailer, they get home, it's like, oh, they're just at ease kind of almost. It's, you know, where at the track, their competitive nature.
And that's, so many horses have been used to their entire life, just track to track to track. They don't get that open free time to just, and have a place actually be home. So, you know that when you do get home, you can just feel the horses be like,
oh, dude, it's so true. It's like home. Yes, this is the best.
They're just so much calmer, more laid back, easier to deal with.
Yeah. Oh, it's night and day. So I always tell people, they're like, do you think they know they're running? And I'm like, oh, 1,000%.
Oh, yeah. When you go to put them on the trailer, they know game face on
when
now.
You take them out of the trailer and they see the track and like even when, like, I hate to go back to this, but Winnipeg, when it's kind of a longer walk to get to the paddock, and I had this old classy horse named Cajoli. And he was like 10, 11 years old. And my dad's like, that horse, I bought him from Champ Christensen. Do you know who Champ Christensen is?
I remember that horse, actually.
Yeah, like he got just doused here in Chippewa, got like dead last. And I talked to Champ and I'm like, hey, can I buy that horse from you? And Champ's like, we'll figure out a deal. So Champ was shipping home and he just dropped it off at our barn and tacked the horse papers to the wall. And then he called my dad. He's like, tell Dallas I worked out a deal and that horse is there for you. And my dad's like, God damn, we don't need another horse, Dallas. And I was 19 at the time. And I'm like, hey, let's just work on his legs. And my grandpa and me did it while my dad went up to Winnipeg, worked on the legs. And then there was like a non-2 for the year that we entered him in, like bottom. But my dad's like, I don't know why we're doing that. This horse is, 10, 11 years old. He's done. Like, he's run out. You're going to get last. I'm like, all right, whatever, And so it's night racing up there, and we were in the last race, and they called him over on the 6th race. And I'm not shitting you, Nathan. This horse heard that bell of the 6th race, like that ding, when the 6th race took off. Different horse. Yeah. Like, just immediately head up, started prancing. And I'm like, dude, this horse is live all of a sudden. And guess what? Went out and won the race by a 3, dude. It was the best. And then we gave him
one of the best days of your life.
Dude, it paid for my first year of school. Like, that's college was that horse Cajoli. So, and then after that, we sold him to like a home where they take mentally handicapped kids and they ride horses because he was so gentle. And so that's what he ended up spending his last days. So it was a great story. Yeah. But listen, man, I don't want to hold you up too long. I know you got to ride tomorrow. We've been at this for 40 minutes. I really appreciate this. Been around you pretty much the whole last 20 years, and I really want you to keep riding, man. This has been fun to watch you grow, and I want to ask you this question. Okay, Swim Lessons, which is the podcast, is about overcoming tough times. You kind of touched on it on that last part, but what does Nathan Harr say to himself when his back's against the wall and the chips aren't falling your way, and how do you get over that?
I guess in that situation, when that time does come to my life, the biggest thing to me is keep your emotions in check and get even closer to the ones that are close to you, that love you and support you, because they will always help you in them situations. And of course, everyone always says, just take deep breaths. Life's gonna be okay.
Whew, I like that. I'm going to be announcing next Saturday. I hope I call your name a bunch of the winner's circle. But Nathan Harr, appreciate you. Do you have a Facebook, Instagram, a quick plug for anybody that's looking to follow your story?
I have my own, I guess, just my Facebook, just typical profile.
Okay.
There's one, actually, my old one got hacked somehow. But I do have a new one. You'll see me and my bride, hopefully someday to be on there. You can't miss her with her bright red hair. So
I'm with you. I've been dating my girlfriend for 3.5. So yeah, we're right there, bro. But well, hey, I appreciate you. Good luck tomorrow and the rest of the way, man. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Nathan Harr, everybody.